Hello and welcome to Winchester Archive Supernatural Podcast. I'm Ed,
I'm Brooke.
and today we'll be discussing Season 2, Episode 5, Simon Said. But before we do, here's a quick spoiler warning. As always, we'll be connecting dots across the entire series, so if you've been watching Supernatural for the first time or have not finished the series yet, consider this your warning. You will be spoiled. As another reminder, explicit content warning. We are adults talking about adult show, so it's dealing with dark and sensitive topics, especially this episode. Some of the things are pretty dark in this episode. So expect adult language, mature discussion, and dark humor. And also, you can find us on Upscrolled at Winchester Archives Pod, as well as YouTube and Patreon, Winchester Archives Podcast. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, all the fun things, all the sharing, all the liking, all the rating, 5 stars, all the things. Help us keep continuing to grow our community of archivists. We truly appreciate it. So, with that mouthful out of the way, Brooke, go over the episode specs with us, please.
Okay, so the air date was October 26th, 2006. I was going to say 2026. That is not correct. That is in the future. It was written by Ben Edlund and directed by Tim Lacafano. And the supporting cast is Gabriel Tigerman as Andrew Gallagher. So the synopsis here is Sam has another premonition of a man buying a gun, shooting someone, and then turning it on himself. They solicit help from Ash to figure out where this premonition was coming from. Then they head to that town. Sam is able to stop him from buying a gun, but he's not able to save this man from his demise. They find a cool new psychic named Andy who has the power of mind control. So this whole time, Sam thinks it is him who is the killer. But is it? We will find out.
Indeed. I love this episode. This episode's very fun.
It is. It is fun. I feel like my ratings were kind of low. Like it was low in some parts, but really high in all the other parts.
Yeah, same.
All right. So for our episode overview, we see it is exactly 4 p.m. in this bustling town. This man who is Dr. Jennings gets a phone call and he has a flash forward to him shooting someone. I thought it was a flashback, but now he's headed to the gun store, so it is a flash forward. Oop, I hit
Mhm.
my mic talking with my hands. The man at the store
Also, this dude's pants are, like, way too large.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the pant legs are, like, flying in the wind, man, as he's walking. It's crazy, the
As
style differences.
as a doctor, you'd think he would have, like, a fitted suit, but no.
Yeah. That
It's
was just the first thing that I saw when he was walking down the street. I'm just like, "Man, those pants are just, like, flying away from him because of how much room there is."
the man at the store actually seems to know this guy because and he's like, "Hey, I want a gun." He's like, "Haha, really?" And then he's like, "Yeah, that one behind the counter."
Mhm.
And then the guy is like, "Okay, well, if you wanna try turkey hunting, you can come up to my cabin this weekend." And then Dr. Jennings is like, "You know guns make me nervous," as he's, like, loading it.
Yeah, which is a no-no, as you know as the owner says, but in general, you don't load guns in a store. Like,
No,
even a gun store, you can't do that.
no, 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 no.
So, yeah, it's disturbing that he's just like, "Oh, it makes me nervous," and he's still loading it. Like, "Ooh."
Yes, and then he's like, it's fine, I can load it here, and I am loading it here, and nobody's stopping me." And then he shoots the owner and then himself. And then we jump to Sam, who had seen this incident as a premonition.
I do wanna say, though, that this, scene does a great job of building tension, man. Like,
Mhm.
it was a very good scene of building tension, and also, like, the quote, unquote, "payoff" is so sudden and brutal that it's just like, wow. A
Yes.
lot, because even, like, the way he, like, shoots himself, right? They do, like, camera pan up and you see the blood splatter,
Mhm.
and it's, like, really bad CGI blood splatter, but it definitely like, it's gruesome because the dude gets shot in the
Yeah,
chest and he immediately turns it on himself, like, "It'll be fine," and then just blows his head off, and I'm just like, "Wow, that's a start to an episode."
I
Like, that was
know.
a startling start.
Yep, it was. So Sam is obviously panicking, and he's like, "We need to get to the roadhouse so Ash can tell them where this premonition was," because he saw a bus. So he's like, "If we connect the bus line, then, like, we'll know where it is." Even though
Mhm.
they could have looked this up without Ash, but that's okay. It's whatever.
It's fine. The more screen time that Ash gets, the better. I love this
Yes.
character so much, especially this episode. Hilarious.
Mhm.
I was actively, like, dying laughing for, like, 5 minutes about, like, his entrance into this episode in the next scene.
Yes, exactly. He's so funny. But Sam is also saying it usually his premonitions have to do with the demon. And then Dean says he doesn't think it's best to go to the roadhouse and announce he's a supernatural freak connected to a demon. And then Sam is like super hurt. But Dean, he didn't mean it that way. I understood what he
Yeah.
meant.
Yeah, but he's just like, "What you mean by freak?" And then he just, like, bats him on the or, like, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a freak now?" And then Dean's like, "It's okay, you've always been a freak," and, like, bats him on the leg, like, just as, like,
Yeah.
it's like a brotherly thing, like, I don't know, it was really sweet, I thought.
Yeah. But Dean does what Sam wants and they go to the roadhouse.
Mhm.
Sam doesn't say hi to anyone. He immediately just like is like, "Where's Ash?" and then goes to his room. Ash opens the door and he's naked and there's like a strobe light going on. And
Mhm.
then Sam is like, "Hey, we need your help." And he's like, "Well, I guess I need my pants."
And it's like it's so funny, like, it doesn't do it justice just, like, telling the line, like, you gotta go listen to this dude's comedic timing. It's
Yes.
beautiful. He's so funny, it's crazy,
Yes. Because his comedic timing is just like a little off than when you expect it to be. So yeah,
which
it's
just makes
really
it even
funny.
better, makes it more funny.
So Ash found the bus line is in Oklahoma, but no signs of a demon. So Sam asked Ash to look up if there was a house fire in 1983 around a baby's 6-month birthday. Ash is obviously weirded out by this, but Sam gives
Mhm.
him a PBR and he's like, "Okay, I'm on it."
Yeah, it was so funny. He's just like, "I don't know, man." Like, he's just, like, giving him a weird look, and he's like, "Well, what's in it for me? What's in it for me?" Basically, and he's like, "What if I give you a PBR?" And he's like, "Alright, I'll get it done in 40 minutes." And I was like, "That's
Yeah.
so funny."
So
Like,
while
he's just, like, a hilarious character to me.
yes, he is. I wish he was around more.
Yes.
While that's happening, Joe and Dean are talking, and Dean tells Joe he can't run away with her because her mom would kill him.
Mhm.
And Joe's like, "You're afraid of my mom?" And Dean says, "Yeah, I think so."
Yeah, understandable. I would be too.
Yeah. But then after that, Sam says there was a match, so they have to leave. Now in the car, Dean is singing the song Joe had playing at the
Yeah,
bar.
the REO Speedwagon, he was just, like, criticizing her at first, but then now he's just, like, belting it out, which is funny.
Yes. He's just like letting it out.
Also, who just sings like this without, like, putting the song on the radio? Like, who just does this in silence?
Dean. He probably doesn't own REO Speedwagon
I mean, but still.
tape because they don't listen to CDs. They have like tape cassettes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sam is looking at him like he's crazy and he goes, "You're kidding, right?" And then Dean's like, "I don't know, man. It's stuck in my head."
He was like, "I heard it somewhere, now it's stuck in my head."
Like they
Like,
both weren't in the same bar,
yeah.
same time.
It's just because like, he's associating it with her, with Joe.
Yeah.
So he's just like, "Oh, somewhere I must have heard it," you know?
Yeah. And then he's like, "Okay, what did you find?" Like, "Eh." So Sam tells him about this guy named Andrew Gallagher, born in 1983. Mom died in a nursery fire 6 months later. But finding this guy seems to be impossible because he doesn't have a current address or phone number, no bills, no collections. All they have is a work address from his last W-2 job from a year ago.
Yeah, so, like, he had collections, but they all got, like, gotten rid of, like, they all got waived.
Yeah.
So, like, they don't have anything on him.
So now they're at a little diner. The server, Tracy, says they'll never get anything out of Andy because she's like assuming they're debt collectors and says they come. He says something to them and they never come back.
Mhm.
But they're pretending to be lawyers about an estate that was left for him. Some guy comes over who's another server at the diner and says, like, Andy is amazing. He got me backstage passes to Aerosmith once. So now you're like, okay, Andy has the power to convince people to do
Yeah.
things. The original server, Tracy, tells them that they can find Andy by looking for a van with a barbarian queen painted on it.
Not even that. Barbarian Queen riding a polar bear.
Yes.
the most epic freaking thing on the side of a van.
Yep.
So random.
Ah, so they find it, and Dean thinks this guy is so cool so
He's
far.
loving that, the barbarian queen on the polar bear on the side of his van.
Yes. Sam is in distress because he's like, "We don't know what this guy has done or what he's capable of." And he's
Mhm.
thinking the demon wants to raise an army of people to kill other people. And
Fair
Dean
assumption, I feel like,
Yeah.
for a demon.
And Dean is telling him, like, "You're not a murderer and you never would be." And Sam is like, "Last time I checked, I kill lots of things." And Dean is like, "Those things are asking for it."
Yeah, it's still, like, struggling with the whole shade of gray thing, which I think is a interesting progression here, where now Dean's
Mhm.
just trying to, like, be like, "No, you're different, you're better." But then,
Yeah.
like, Sam's now the one being like, "Well, it doesn't matter, I'm still a killer." That's like, shades of gray, man, shades of gray.
Yeah. And now we see Andy leaving a girl's apartment, and she was so happy with him.
Yeah, yeah, she was.
And then he takes some guy's coffee off the street and, like, shakes his hand. And then he shakes hands with the man from the premonition.
Mhm.
So Sam is following the shooter while Dean is following Andy. And I don't know why they did it this way, but they did. It should have been the other way around.
Well, in hindsight, yes, based on the rest of the episode, but they didn't know at the time that was gonna happen.
Yeah, but I'm like, they knew from the first psychic interaction that Sam should be the one following the psychics, you know?
True, very true. But also it leads, like, the best scene in the whole episode.
So Andy realizes he's being followed and he gets out of his van and starts talking to Dean about the car. And Dean's like, "Yeah, it's a great car. I can't let it go." And then Andy's like, "Cool, can I have it?" And Dean's like, "Yeah, sure." And just like gets out of the car.
And I love that it's just, like, not even, like, hesitation or anything, it's just, like, straight, like, instantaneous, "Yeah, sure." And he just
Mhm.
starts getting up and out, and it's so funny to me, like, how again, Dean is just an amazing actor, Jensen is just an amazing actor because, like, his facials and the way he's able to emote so flawlessly and so freely between them like that, of being, like,
Yep.
all serious, like, "Oh," joking around, like, "Yeah, I can't let this one go," to being like, "Yep, here you go," and, like, he's just, like, happy about it, and it's just so funny the way like,
Mhm.
the look on his face is just perfect. It's
Yep.
just so good.
Exactly, it is. So now we see the premonition from, like, the beginning, and Sam is there to intervene. He pulls a fire alarm, so the guy walks away from the store. He sees Andy in the Impala and is like, "Excuse me?"
Yeah, I love that
And
immediately after he pulls away from Dean, Dean just kinda, like, is sitting there, like, smiling for a second, then he's just like, "Wait a second. What just that?" Like, he looks so confused in the middle of the road.
yeah, I wanted to, like, talk about that a little bit because, like, I don't know, you'd feel like that effect wouldn't go away because you would get in so much more trouble, right? Because he tells a debt collector, like, "I already paid it, don't worry about it, leave." And then they're like, "Cool." And then they leave and they're like, "But wait a minute, that's not right."
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
You know, I'm just like, I don't.
It could also be just, like, the way he words things specifically because, like,
Mhm.
if he just said, "Can I have the car?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And then now that he's given him the car, it's like there's no other command in his head, right? There's
Yeah.
no other, like, thing to, like, keep him on there.
Mhm.
So maybe that's it.
Yeah, that could
Like,
be.
the specific wording matters, how long it lasts.
Yeah, and I guess we also know from, like, the end, maybe Andy just hasn't practiced enough.
Yeah, and also, when it comes to, like, the victims in this episode, they get, like, called and told to, like, off themselves, basically.
Mhm.
Those are more like final orders,
Yeah.
like, once you're done with those orders, there's no coming back to, like, realize your mistake. So, like, who knows how long it normally would last like that?
Yeah, for sure. But, yeah, so they both Dean and Sam know that this is mind control now, and the man that Sam was following answers his phone, and then he just walks in front of a bus and dies.
I'm not gonna lie, that one shocked me a second. When it happened, I was like, "Oh, well, yeah, that oof."
Although in this, like, really small town, how fast was that bus going?
Like, 70 on, like, a 25-mile-per-hour road.
Yes, because
Like,
like, if it was
I was, like, in
going
the middle of a small town. That speed limit's 25 miles an hour.
yes, it is. I'm like, that would have hurt him a bit. but
It
it
may
would
have killed him, but it would not have made him explode like it did in the episode.
no, no. But Andy goes to the diner to talk to Tracy about the man who walked in front of a bus. Dean finds his car and says, "Sorry, baby, I'll never leave you again."
I love it.
Mhm. And they're saying he needs and then they're like, maybe Andy, he has to use verbal commands. And this is funny. So Dean is saying Andy doesn't seem like the killer type, and Sam says, "You had OJ convicted before he got out of the Bronco, but now you're not sure about this." And Dean says, "OJ was guilty."
That's so funny.
Yes, it is.
Again, just like I love that this show does so many pop culture references because it just makes it feel so much more grounded in reality,
Yes,
and it's fun.
it is. And after they find, Andy's van, they break into the back, and it's just like a bed with a disco ball and some really heavy reading by some philosophers, Hegel, Kant, and Wittgenstein,
Yeah,
and there's a huge bong.
I love it because like Dean's like loving this guy because like when he opens the truck, he's just like he's digging the inside of it.
There's a tiger on the wall of the
Yeah,
van.
it's very something that Dean would love.
Yes.
And I actually looked into these philosophers just for funsies because like this episode didn't have a ton of stuff for me to look into, but these are heavy reading, that's for damn sure. Hegel and Kant are both credited as pioneers in the German idealism
Oh.
philosophy, which builds on Plato's concept of like ideas meaning like everything has an ideal or perfect version of itself that exists only in your head or as a concept.
Mm,
Like, for example, you can think of a chair, and that chair that you envision in your head is perfect in all aspects. It's what
mhm,
you'd consider balanced, comfortable, stable. It won't break. It's just like the perfect chair that's in your head right now. And then, while if you go and try to make that exact same chair from memory, that chair that you make is guaranteed to fall short. It can never achieve the perfection that is
mhm.
the idea of the chair. So that's like the main concept of idealism in philosophy.
Okay.
And then Wittgenstein is more closely associated with logic, math, philosophy of the mind, and language. So it would make a lot of sense to me that if I had this ability, I'd probably start looking into the way people's brains work and like the concept of language and shit too.
Mhm.
This guy, and also this guy looks like he would be simultaneously someone with that kind of trunk, a bong in there, and philosophy books. This dude looks like that kind of person, and I love it.
Yes, he does. So he's like, living his best life all day. He gets into his van, rips a big one, and then reads philosophy.
Sounds great.
Yes.
Like I said, this is like these people are like dense philosophers. Like they have a lot of written works, and their written works are very comprehensive
Yeah.
amongst philosophy. So yeah, this is not light reading.
Maybe you should try.
We'll see. I love me some philosophy, but like sometimes really complicated.
Yes. Yes, it is. So after seeing this, Dean still thinks Andy could never kill a person. And Sam is yelling at this, like yelling at Udine about this idea. And Andy actually pops up and sticks his head in the car window and asks why they're following him. And Sam says they're lawyers. And he says to tell the truth. And Sam is like, "Yeah, I am." And then Dean is just like, "We hunt demons." It is just going on and on about their lives.
It's so good.
And Sam is like, "Hey, man, shut up." And Dean's like, "I'm trying," but then keeps like going.
Yeah.
And Andy says to leave him alone. And Dean is like, "Cool." And then Sam gets out of the car and starts following Andy. And so we see that Andy's commands don't work on Sam.
Yeah, and, I just wanna again, this is another one of those scenes where you gotta watch it, like, go watch it, it's so funny,
Mhm.
because Dean's just, like you can tell he's struggling to like, he wants to not be talking right now, and he just keeps going, like, we hunt demons, we think you're the one that's killing people," you
Mhm.
know? You're connected to him because 'cause you're both, like, psychic, like, he's
Yes.
just going on and on and on, and he's just like, "I'm trying to stop, but I can't."
Yes.
It just cracks me up so much. Again, his delivery is just hilarious because he just doesn't skip a beat. Also, when it comes to like the one magical thing in here, Mind control is not really like super common in folklore. It's more like someone getting tricked or like misdirected or like magic making them go insane. Like it's not like,
Mhm.
hey, here's a thing I want you to do, and you just say, okay, yeah, let's do it, and you go do it. Like that's not really much of a thing in folklore that I could find anyway.
Yeah.
It's mostly just like people like either making people hallucinate or go insane. Like Hera making Heracles go insane to kill his family instead of like making him kill his family. She just made him insane, and then he
Mhm.
went crazy. However, there is a thing like this in psychology, which is suggestion, like the power of suggestion, which is and it's usually done like through hypnosis, which is where like someone like basically can make you think or do things that you're not necessarily completely aware of just by suggesting them to you. And
Mhm.
it's usually done as like an unconscious trick on your unconscious mind, to like trick your active mind. The
Mm.
best example I have of this is like basically a hypnotist would tell someone, "Hey, you're going to be hypnotized," which already primes them to be ready to be hypnotized or ready to
Yeah.
do things involuntarily because they already think that they're going to do something involuntarily. So it's like you're basically double bluffing your brain
Yeah.
into being hypnotized. So if you really don't ever think hypnotism will work on you, it won't work on you because it is just you tricking your mind and placebo affecting yourself. But once the person gets hypnotized, they're basically in a trance-like state, and the hypnotist can then suggest things like, "Hey, your arm is getting lighter," and then the person will unconsciously just start raising their arm up like it's floating into the air because it's lighter now.
Mhm.
Like you just accept it as reality, and your body does it involuntarily, and it will trick your active mind to being like, "Oh, I'm hypnotized because I'm not doing that, even though you are doing it."
Yeah.
And it's really neat, of a trick, but it also will fall apart when you start suggesting things like harming themselves or, like, harming
Mhm.
someone else or something like that. Because it's just, like, a minor, like, trick, not a, like, full-on deep mind control, like, against your will kinda shit. It's just like "Oh, that's cute." But if you go to, like, say, "Hey, jump off this thing," they probably won't.
Yeah, like, I know people have said before, like, it's worked when they no longer want to smoke cigarettes because, like, when they're hypnotized, the person will say, like, "The cigarettes taste bad." So then when you're out of hypnosis, they don't taste good, so you don't want to use them.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works long term, but it at least works, like, in the moment.
Yeah, it's like a psychological trick, right? Like, you
Yeah.
can trick your brain and that's why, like, chewing gum before you take a test while you're studying, and then chewing that same gum during
Mhm.
the test can help jog your memory because your brain connects the things and, unintuitively, just connects, like,
Yeah.
that flavor of that to, "Hey, this is the answer." It's the same kind of thing with that, where you can hypnotize someone in the sense of, like, they believe that they're being hypnotized, so then when you tell them, "Hey, that tastes bad," your brain will make that connection, be like, "Oh, I was told that this tastes bad, so now it tastes bad."
Yeah. Placebos are crazy.
Yeah, our mind is a very powerful and very interesting thing, and it can convince us of a lot of things.
Yep. So Sam is like cornering Andy and is like, "Why'd you send him in front of the bus?" And Andy is very persistent that he didn't.
Mhm.
And while he's doing that, Sam has another premonition of a woman setting herself on fire after getting a phone call.
Yeah, at a gas station,
Yeah.
just
And
dousing herself in gas.
yes.
Again, very brutal. This episode's brutal, man.
Mhm. They see a fire truck go by. So Sam has Dean go and he stays with Andy, which means Andy didn't call her. And also, just pointing out, every time Sam has a premonition, the first one, they always have enough time to do their research and drive there, and it's fine. And then the second one happens right away. Like he gets the premonition as it's happening.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a pattern here.
It's for the plot.
And also, just in general, it could just be a pattern that they can stick with it, it's just how the ability works.
Yeah, that's true.
For why? Who knows?
Mhm. So
Because God decided it's a good, complete, convenient plot device.
yes. So now Sam is telling Andy all about his visions because, like, he trusts him a little bit more now. It's like,
Yeah.
obviously, it's not you. And Andy says he found out he had power when he found out he had powers, it was like winning the lottery.
No kidding. If you have that power of convincing people to, like, go along with it and you can, like yeah, that sounds like a great power.
Yes. But then we find out that the woman who had just died gave birth to a kid in 1983 when she was 18, but that baby was adopted. Andy says he was adopted, but he was told his birth mom had died.
I think it's funny because once he says, like, "I was they asked him, like, "Hey, were you adopted?" He's like, "Yeah," and he's like, "You're just now bringing this up?" And he's like, "I never thought to mention it," or like, "It never came up," like,
Yeah, I
because of
would
course, why would that come up
exactly.
before this moment?
So now they're at the county records department looking through records, and Andy commands somebody to, like, let them in and not worry about it. Because even the
Mhm.
person working there was like, "I really shouldn't be letting you kids in here." And he's like, "Don't worry about it."
He's like, "Go get a coffee," and then he's like, "These are not the droids you're looking for."
Yes.
And then it makes Dean obviously smile like a dork, and I'm just like, I love I love how, like, amused by
Mhm.
that he is.
Yes.
Uh,
So Sam finds out this woman named Holly is Andy's mother, and Dr. Jennings was her doctor. And now Sam found out that Holly actually had twins, and they were separated at adoption. So
dun, dun,
Andy
dun.
has an evil twin brother named Anson.
The old evil twin trope.
Yes.
I love it. No, I think this episode's fantastic, and that was really funny to me too. I was just like, "Ah, the evil twin."
Mhm. So they get his picture from the DMV, and it's the guy from the diner that got the
Even
Aerosmith
more dun,
ticket.
dun, dun.
Yes. But now he's going by the name Weber. And then we find out he can do the same thing as Andy. So and because we flash over to Anson, and he's questioning Tracy about how serious she and Andy were when they dated.
So creepy is creepy.
Yeah.
He's, like, very forceful about it. It's like, "Ooh."
Yep. And now Sam is getting a premonition of her jumping off a bridge onto a concrete dam. And now we see Weber/Anson with Tracy in the car. She's crying, and he snaps at her to, like, stop crying. And he tells her that Andy is his family and not hers, and she's not allowed to have him, which is so weird.
Crazy. Crazy.
And now he's telling Tracy to undress, and he, like, tisks at her for going too fast, and he's like, "Slower."
This part was so gross.
Yes.
I was just
Disgusting.
like, "Oh." I was like, "Please, like, Sam, come break the door in soon."
Yes, yes.
Come punch him in the face.
Sam tells Dean to stay back, and he's going to go, but Andy is going with him because he wants to save Tracy. So Anson is now telling Tracy when she's done getting undressed, she's gonna go over to the dam and she's going to pretend she can fly.
Ugh, it's so brutal because, like, also, like, she's not reacting like some of the other characters did. She actually is, like, reacting like she's upset about it, but then she knows that she should be upset about all of this.
Yes, because he told her to stay calm and to stop crying,
Mhm.
but she still is, like, kinda crying and
Like,
not
her face looks
calm.
uncomfortable, which obviously you would be, but it's just, like, one of those things where, like, it is just interesting the difference between the two's
Yeah.
powers, I guess.
Sam pulls Anson out of the car and duct taped his mouth so he can't command anyone, but then we find out he can still control Tracy without talking.
Crazy.
Mhm. And he tells Andy if he practiced, he would know that he's able to do it too. And Anson is telling Andy that these people he's killed are coming between them. Anson said the man with the yellow eyes came to him and said he wasn't allowed to tell Andy they were twins until the time was right, but they have big plans. And he
Dun,
said,
dun, dun, yellow eyes back.
yep. And he says he's killed people because they split them apart.
Which is so weird.
I know, because Andy even says, like, when you find out you have a twin, you should be happy and, like, meet them, not kill everybody.
Yeah.
And now we see Dean in the background lining up a shot to shoot Anson. But Anson sees him and says, "Bye bye." And Dean turns the gun on himself.
Mhm.
But before Dean could do anything, Andy shoots Anson. Andy is now telling the police that Anson shot himself and the police saw it happen, and the police were like, "You're right. We did."
And just to back up slightly, the main tension of this scene is, like, basically after Sam pulls him out and, like, starts confronting him,
Mhm.
uh, Anson commands, Tracy to hit him with the gun to, like, knock him out or to, like, basically knock him over at least.
Yeah.
And then he commands Tracy to get to the edge of the dam, and she's, like, standing on the edge about to fall over the entire time this conversation in between Andy and Anson is happening.
Yeah.
So, that's where, like, the main tension of this comes from, and that's why, uh, Andy actually ends up shooting him, like, when he's turned around at Sam.
Mhm. That's true. Sam tells Andy they have to go, but gives Andy his phone number, and Andy's like, "Cool, but what am I supposed to do now?"
Really, though.
And Dean says, "Be good or we'll be back." And then they start walking away.
Ominous.
Yep. And Sam is like, "You know what? I was right. He is a killer." And Dean says he's a hero and he's saved people. And Sam is saying that doesn't matter and that if anybody is pushed far enough, they are capable of killing. Then Sam says when Andy forced him to say the truth, Dean said he was scared of the psychic and the
Mhm.
demons and stuff. And Dean says he was under mind control, so it doesn't count. And he is calling a do over. And he just wants to find the demon and kill it.
Mhm.
But going back, like how you said, like they don't see shades of gray, Sam is doing that at this moment.
Yeah, I rolled my eyes very hard at this interaction because 'cause I'm just like, "You really think that's a big like, you think he's a killer because he, like, acted at a time where 3 people were going to get killed if he didn't?"
And like Dean was setting up to do the same thing.
That's what I mean, like, I thought this was so dumb because, like, being like, "I was right, he is a killer." It's like and he just even says, no matter what, everyone that's pushed far enough will be a killer." And it's like, "Yes,
Mhm.
correct." Like, so you stop feeling weird about yourself. Like, what do you
I
mean?
know this is all coming from him being like insecure about himself.
Yeah, and I'm just like, "What do you mean, though?" Like, I don't understand because, like, ev yeah, push to far enough, literally everyone can and will. That's how
Yes,
animals work. People also work that way because we are also animals. Like, in that scenario, that's the only thing you can do.
it is. So yeah, Sam's going through some stuff right now. But now Ellen is calling Dean and they're headed back to the roadhouse. Ellen makes Joe go bring up another case of beer. And Ellen says, "Do you want to tell us about this last hunt of yours?" And they're like, "No, not really." And Ash told her about the search. So she wants to know. And she says they don't have time for secrets or half truth, which is so
Finally,
right. Even though I just
finally.
want to say last episode she did
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Or 2 episodes ago with Rufus, she was like,
Mhm.
"Just trust me, you don't wanna be around him." And it's like, "Okay, you could have told them there's no time for secrets."
Yeah.
But whatever. So Sam is telling her everything about himself. Dean says not all of the psychics are dangerous, but they have a pattern of the fire at 6 months old. But then Sam says that's not true because Anson didn't have a house fire, but he still got the
Mm.
abilities, which breaks the pattern. So now we don't
Interesting.
know how many psychics are out there or how to track them.
Mhm.
I actually forgot about that plot point completely.
Yeah.
So that's the end of the episode. For this week's crime counter, we have Sam pulling the fire alarm there at the beginning. And from what I could see, it doesn't really come with a lot of jail time at all, but if it does, it would just be a misdemeanor, which is 1 year in jail.
Okay.
It's usually a fine,
Okay.
but I would say if you do it, like, repeatedly, probably.
Yeah, then you're just becoming a menace.
Um, and then when they break into Andy's car, which is also his home, but I couldn't find a distinction between the 2, so it's just breaking into a car that is, about a year as well.
Makes sense.
So just 2 years this
Yeah,
episode.
nothing too bad
Nope.
since most of the stuff happened with the twins.
Yeah.
There's a lot more crimes that happened this episode, just not by them.
Yes, exactly. So now for our episode review. For story and pacing, I gave it a 4 and you gave it a 5.
Yeah.
I thought about a 5 for this one as well, but I just landed on a 4, but it is really good.
Yeah, I did a 5, because I couldn't really think of anything in particular that made me go like, "Ooh, that's weird." Everything made sense to me and everything flowed really well, and I liked the back and forth, like, back and forth shots, and I
Mhm.
liked the premonitions, and, like, when the premonition got stopped, it immediately pivoted, and I was like, "That's cool." Like, that's a
Yeah.
cool story thing to me. And overall, I like the red herring of, like, this innocent stoner kid who just, like, is getting away with all this nonsense and having a bunch of fun, and then,
Mhm.
the really dark twin too. Like, it was just, like, a very well thought out story, I thought.
Yes, it definitely is. Um, I'm gonna combine these together because they have the same score. So for monster lore and character development, we both gave 1s.
Yeah.
There's no monster lore and there's no character development.
Yeah, the only lore we have is evil yellow eyes interacted with them at some point, and that's it. And, like,
Yeah.
there's no explanation, no nothing yet, and so it's, like, a 1 there, and also, I did wanna give them, like, some kind of thing because the villain was compelling and the powers are
Mhm.
compelling. Like, I think it's a like, haha, funny joke there too. Um, but,
Yeah.
they are very good, I think. So, like, that wanted me to give it more, but there wasn't really any they didn't give us much, so I just gave it a 1. I just didn't seem like that kinda episode.
Yeah, I agree. For visuals and
Well,
direction
and
oh,
well, character development. You mentioned it. We're together, but character development. We didn't really learn anything about the boys at all. If anything, they regressed a little with Sam.
yeah. No, nothing has really changed with them this episode.
Yeah,
It's a fun episode, but it's also like a filler.
yeah. This is
So,
one of the episodes where like they did a bunch of heavier episodes and story filled episodes the past couple ones, and now it's like this is the more lighthearted one
mhm.
to continue the story still, but like more lighthearted. So not really very much development.
Yeah, exactly. For visuals and direction, we both gave it a 4.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I did I was including in this one the premonition stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think the
Yeah.
premonitions are really cool, and like I also again I like the camera shot of like when the doctor shoots himself that it, like, pans up, like, right as he's putting the gun under too. I thought that was cool. The,
Mhm.
dual thing of Dean putting the gun under his, chin right as, like, you hear a gunshot when it
Mhm.
cuts back, and you're like, "Oh god, is it Dean?" But then it's like, "Oh, it's the bad guy got shot," and it's like, "Oh, yay, everything's saved." So it's like one of the it's a really cool flip of the shot
Yes.
there, I thought. That
It
stuck out really well for me.
yeah, it's really cool. For emotional impact, I gave it a 1 and you gave it a 2.
Yeah.
Yep, I didn't leave this with any strong emotions either way.
Yeah, I didn't really much either. The only things that did, like, resonate at all was kinda what you're thinking about, almost like thinking further, like, where where Andy was just kinda, like, left on his own, and he's like, "Now what?" And it's just, "He's
Mhm.
good," and it's just like, "Oh, I feel bad for him." Like, I feel bad
Yeah.
for him because he also had to use his powers on, Tracy
Mm,
to save her, the previous night, and because of that, she won't look at him, and he's never used it on her before, so now she doesn't trust him, and it's like, that made me sad a little bit. I'm like, "Man, I feel bad for Andy more than anything." His life kind of got flipped
yeah,
all the way upside down, man.
it did for sure.
And he just got told, like, "The yellow-eyed demon talked to me." And it's just like, "What does that mean?"
He's
This dude's just left without anything. He didn't get any of the whole spiel of, like, "Yes, demons are real."
That's true.
Like,
Sam could have explained some more.
so, like, I had a lot of more feelings for Andy specifically,
Mhm.
but, yeah, otherwise, there's not really much more feelings that this comes from other than, like, kind of annoyance with Sam of being like, "Come on, man. This isn't like, oh, everyone's a killer. I'm evil." Like, come on. You're being
Yes,
melodramatic here.
as always.
Yeah.
And then our last 2, I'm gonna lump together as well because I think they go hand in hand. For
Mhm.
rewatchability and Salt and Sass, we both gave 5s, 5
Yeah.
across the board. Yes, because of the Salt and Sass is the reason why I would rewatch it.
Yeah. I think the plot was very fun, very interesting, but
Yeah.
mostly the basically the extra characters, both Andy and Ash. make this
Yes.
such a funny episode. And just in general, there's a lot of banter, and then Dean doing like the random like deadpan responses to getting mind controlled, basically. It's so funny that I was just actively laughing at this episode a lot.
Mhm.
So this definitely I would rewatch. Definitely would recommend rewatching, and the Salt and Fast is hilarious. Like I thought this was a great episode for fun.
Yes, exactly. So my average score is a 3. You want me
And
to
then mine's a 3.29.
for our combined at 3.14 out of 5.
So let us know in the comments if you guys agree, disagree, if we're on the money. What do you think?
Mhm.
Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Any other final thoughts on this awesome episode?
Nope.
Alrighty. Well, then that brings us to the end of season 2, episode 5. Simon Said, or in this case, I guess Anson said. But thank you for joining us this week, where we found out that Sam isn't the only special child visited by the Yellow Eye Demon that isn't a bad guy. Next time, we are going to visit the first American serial killer, H.H. Holmes, who just so happens to also be a vengeful spirit.
Oh.
So, whenever you're ready, see you in the archive. Bye.
Bye.